A nation facing tragedy again, a community once again shattered. This morning, we are learning new details on the investigation into what would drive a 15-year-old girl to open fire, attack, and kill at her own school yesterday morning. The Madison, Wisconsin police chief will be joining us, will be a guest in just a moment. And before that, we're also standing by to learn more about the victims here. 2 victims killed at this K-12 school. So far, we know one was a teacher and one was a student. At least 6 other people were injured, 2 of them students who were in critical condition with life-threatening injuries as of the last update. We're standing by for more of that this morning. Also this morning, police say that the shooter's parents are cooperating and that they are, of course, still searching for a motive, a possible but unverified manifesto out there and surfacing. And we are hearing heartbreaking and heart-wrenching stories from the children who survived this tragedy. Some seen fleeing the scene just in Christmas pajamas. Police say it was a 2nd grader who first called 911.
We heard them, and then some people started crying, and then we just waited till the police came, and then they escorted us out. I was scared. Why did they do that? Why?
I was getting ready for lunch, so it was basically lunchtime, and then I just heard sobbing, and there was a teacher, and she was screaming like, "Ah, my leg, help, help."
Can you imagine recounting that as she's just standing there innocently holding a little SpongeBob ice cream? That's what she's dealing with today. Yesterday's attack was the 83rd school shooting this year, the most in a single year since CNN began tracking in 2008. CNN's Whitney Wild is in Madison for us, and you were there since the beginning. I heard you at that press conference, many of the press conferences. It's easy for people to become numb as it happens so often, but it is something we must refuse to do. It is horrific hearing the stories coming out of what these children lived through and those who have passed.
Kate, it is an awful day yesterday. It will continue to be awful days for the families affected by this community at the Abundant Life Christian School. But moving forward, Kate, the big questions that they're trying to answer, at least law enforcement's trying to answer, is why this happened. That is a question they have not yet been able to answer. We do have more details about who did this. This is 15-year-old Natalie Rupnow, according to law enforcement. She went by Samantha. By the afternoon and early evening, we learned that police were able to execute a search warrant at her home and establish contact with her parents. Here's what Madison Police Chief Shon said about her parents' cooperation.
We are certainly speaking and talking with the parents who are cooperating to determine if they were gun owners and if they had guns. But at this time, again, we're still talking with them. It's been a long conversation. We appreciate them cooperating with the investigation.
Kate, this all started at 10:57 a.m. yesterday. Police say that this happened in a study hall with a group of students from mixed grades. Kate, I'll leave you with this. This was a gut-wrenching detail we learned, that the person who called 911 from inside that building was just in 2nd grade, Kate.
Whitney, thank you so much for the update. John.
All right, with us now is Madison, Wisconsin Police Chief Shon Barnes. You saw him right there. Chief, thank you so much for being with us. I know it's been a long and excruciating 24-hour period for you. We heard from you late last night. Any updates on the investigation this morning?
No updates on the investigation this morning. We do have a briefing this morning around noon, our time, Central Standard Time. Our officers, detectives, and crime scene investigators have really been working late into the night. We gave them a break early this morning, and so we'll come back early today. We'll start to process things and try to put together a timeline of Samantha's last hours before she went to school.
There were cameras inside the school. Have you had a chance to look at the footage yet?
I have not had an opportunity to look at the footage. I spent most of my day working with the media, making sure that our community understood what happened, trying to be transparent with our community, talking to the media. My briefings were basically virtual with some of our command staff, but a lot of questions still need to be answered, and we're committed to getting the answers to those questions for our community so we can move forward and heal.
The handgun that was used in the shooting, what have you learned about who owned it and how it was obtained by the shooter?
We have asked our partners with the ATF to expedite what's called an ATF trace form to try to determine the origin of that weapon, who purchased it, and how it got from a manufacturer all the way into the hands of a 15-year-old girl. These are questions that's going to take some time to answer, and we're fully committed to getting the answer to that. I do not believe that 15-year-olds should have access to weapons that they can bring to school and potentially hurt someone. We really have to do a better job, not only in our communities, but in our country, with making sure that our young folks do not have access to weapons and firearms, and certainly making sure that we're paying attention to the mental health of our children. There's a lot of work that we need to do so that we cannot be having these conversations again and again and again on CNN and other news outlets.
Was the weapon owned or possessed by the parents?
I'm not certain at this time.
Still not certain at this time. At this time, you, as of last night, you were still questioning the parents. At this time, any reason to expect that they could be charged with any sort of crime here?
Well, we will certainly look at all facts and aspects of this case as they were voluntarily giving information. That certainly helps to determine, if they were involved or if this was pre-planned. We don't have any evidence that it was, but we also want to look at if the parents may have been negligent. And that's a question that we'll have to answer with our district attorney's office. But at this time, it does not appear to be the case. We will get a briefing again today, but we want to make sure that people know. That's a question that people have been asking me, but quite frankly, I don't want to speculate on that right now.
I understand. You say no evidence that it was pre-planned. We had reporting last night that after looking at social media posts and writings and whatnot, there was some thinking that this shooter had some kind of notion this was going to happen beforehand. What's the latest you can tell us about that?
Yeah, we have been made aware of a manifesto, if you want to call that, or some type of letter that's been posted by someone who alleged to be her friend. We haven't been able to locate that person yet, but that's something we're going to work on today. We'll also be looking through her effects, if she had a computer or cell phone, to see if there are any transmissions between her and someone else, and that will give us an idea of what type of planning. When I spoke earlier, I was talking about pre-planning where her parents may have been involved.
Okay.
Speaking to that question, but whether or not, okay.
Yeah, okay, good. I understand.
Does that
Thank
make
you
sense?
so much.
Okay.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that clarification, Chief. You have been, and we were talking to other law enforcement officials last night. One of the things they kept on saying was how extraordinary your release of information was over the last 24-hour period, how helpful it's been to the public, the families, everyone involved here. You've been very forthcoming with information. Any new information about those who were wounded or hurt in this attack?
We know that two that had non-life-threatening injuries were released from the hospital last night. It's a good thing. We know that two are still in very critical condition. And so we're praying that they will pull through. And so we'll be keeping an eye on that. And if something changes, we'll let you know. But, we do try to be as transparent as we can. We have an amazing public information officer, and she works very hard to make sure that we get information out early and often. I think we had 4 press conferences yesterday within the span of about 10 hours. And we think that that's the way law enforcement should go. We should get information out because it's a tremendous process, and hopefully today we can start the process of determining why this happened so we can heal and move forward.
Were there individuals specifically targeted in this attack? Any information that the two deceased were singled out?
We don't know. We know that one of the deceased was a substitute teacher, so we don't know if there would be a reason to target a teacher in this case who doesn't have significant ties to the school. So that's a question that hopefully we can answer by looking at some of the public space cameras if it is available, and we'll be doing that today as well.
Chief Shon Barnes, again, we appreciate you being so forthcoming. We appreciate you being on this morning. We will hear from you again in just a few hours. We're all thinking of you. Appreciate it.